Right, I think myself, as most Chelsea fans, are feeling really, really positive at the way that things are going at the moment with Chelsea Football Club. And time is the best storyteller. I do always say that. So this story is far from over. As the season progresses, things might get better. Things might get worse. Maybe a month or so from now, I'll be sat in a different position and speaking with a different view on Chelsea Football Club. But I am just going to be honest with you lot, as I always am on this channel. A month or so ago, I was absolutely infuriated as I sat down to watch the Monday Night Football on Sky Sports, and I saw one of the most one-sided, critical bits of media I have ever watched in my entire life, where they ripped Chelsea to pieces. Not as much as Spurs ripped Man United to pieces last night, but it wasn't far off. And by the way, I will give credit where credit is due, because it was Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. And Gary Neville wasn't even actually that bad. There were times when he played devil's advocate. There were times when, I wouldn't say he stuck up for Chelsea, but he gave a little bit more of a level-headed view than Jamie Carragher was. And obviously, I had a real problem with the fact that Gary Neville called Chelsea the billionaire blue bottle jobs or whatever it was. And Gary Neville, to be fair to him, came out and did what I believe in life a man should do, and actually admitted the mistake of doing that, apologised for doing that, and said that he felt bad for doing that because he feared that tag, that label would continue with them and would be brought up every time a similar situation could potentially occur. So as much as I did have a problem with it at the time, I think I made videos on it at the time, I did respect Gary Neville for coming out and apologising for saying that. But now it's very interesting, isn't it, to see if Jamie Carragher does something similar to what Gary Neville did when he apologised. Because when I sat down and watched that Monday Night Football segment, I could literally see the steam coming out of the fella's ears. It's like he was having flashbacks of what Gianfranco Zola done to him at Stamford Bridge on the last day of the season when we pipped him for Champions League football. To put it in a nutshell, the fella was fuming, and he was using every single opportunity that he could to continue and push this narrative that all is wrong at Chelsea Football Club and there is nothing good on the horizon for Chelsea Football Club. So bearing in mind this was from just 1 month ago, let's now have a quick look at some of what was said in that segment, and then we can use this as a good little opportunity to chat about where Chelsea are at right now.
It feels like quite often in the media, perhaps, maybe fans as well, are quite quick to criticise Chelsea.
Chelsea have just got to stop buying players. And players have got to stop signing for Chelsea.
Yeah, fair enough. I can somewhat agree with Jamie Carragher there, especially when it comes to Chelsea needing to slow down the recruitment of players that are specifically signed with the intention to play for the first team. Because at the moment, I believe that the squad we have has a pretty good balance to it, albeit we're still not 100% sure on the goalkeeper situation, and there is the possibility that we may at some point need to invest in the top level centre-back, but for the most part, I think we're looking pretty good at the moment. But as time goes on, I do think that the model of our recruitment is becoming somewhat more clear to people that didn't initially understand it, and that is that some players will be signed purely with the intention to flip a profit, like we did recently on Angelo, like we did on Amari Hutchinson, like we probably will do on Cassidy and on Andre Santos and maybe other players. And ultimately, I do just think that this method was probably not being used 20 years ago when Jamie Carragher was playing football. But FFP was not a thing 20 years ago when Jamie Carragher was playing football. And the landscape of football and football business has now changed. So as much as Chelsea are credited with being the trailblazers for this method of transfer business, do not be surprised to see many more clubs start to follow this model going forward. Now you might say to me, well hold on, that does not justify selling your academy products, and I completely would agree with you. I am absolutely gutted that we sold Conor Gallagher. I absolutely love the fella. I love Trevor Chalobah. But also, to play devil's advocate here, I hardly saw a media storm when Arsenal recently sold Emile Smith-Rowe, did you? Like, when Manchester City sold us Cole Palmer. I didn't really see a media storm there either. And as for the bit he says about players should stop signing for Chelsea Football Club, that's just mad, isn't it? Do you know what? Why don't you go and ask Jadon Sancho? I'm pretty sure Jadon Sancho is pretty happy that he signed for Chelsea Football Club. Bearing in mind, he signed for Man United for around 85 million euros. And at the end of this season, once he's continued to rip it up in the way that he has been ripping it up, we're going to sign him for about a quarter of that price. Cole Palmer, doubt he's too disappointed that he signed for Chelsea Football Club either.
Why would you sign? The only reason why you would sign is because someone might say, your agent might say, we're getting a 7-year deal on big money. That's guaranteed money for 7 years.
Why would you sign? That's like saying, why would you sign for Man United? Like it or not, Chelsea are one of the most successful clubs when it comes to trophies accumulated over the last 25 years in English football. Multiple Champions Leagues, multiple Premier Leagues, multiple domestic cups, and one of the most supported clubs in world football. Now, as boring as I find it, and probably you lot find it, most of us now know a little bit about the whole amortization things, and I'm probably not someone who's intelligent enough to even speak about that. You're best off speaking to the big dog, Josh Aveste, about that. Right, guys, I know exactly what you are thinking right now. This man has had a 5-round fight of a Golden Gloves winner last night, and I hardly look like I've got a mark on me. I am looking well groomed, to say the least, and that is not because of my defensive ability in a boxing ring. It is because I trust my grooming with Manscaped. And how I do that is by using the Performance Package 5.0. And it's not only me that uses that performance package, it is trusted by over 11 million people. So if you want to look as good as me and you want to do so by using the Performance Package 5.0, this is your lucky day, because I have a link in my description. If you hit that link, you will get my discount code, which is 20% off. And if that isn't good enough already, you're also going to get free shipping on your order. And firstly, inside the Performance Package 5.0, you will find the Lawnmower 5.0. And this, boys, is your personal groundskeeper for your body. This trimmer comes with 2 interchangeable skin-safe blade heads, meaning you are going to get the perfection when it comes to how you are trimmed down there, and you are not going to have to worry about any nips or cuts. Not only that, it is waterproof, so you will have the power in the shower to be able to trim. Also inside the performance package, you will get the Weed Whacker 2.0, which is your nostril and ear trimmer, because we all know we want to keep those areas trimmed too. But we're not done there. We also have 2 extra free gifts for you, which are the Boxers 2.0 and the Performance Package bag. So hit the link in the description and use my code JoeyKnight for 20% off and free shipping. Help support me by supporting the guys who support the channel, and that is Manscaped. Thank you very much to Manscaped. Let's get back into the video. But what I would say is, when you speak about these length of contracts, right, as I just said, we didn't struggle to move Angelo on, you know, we didn't struggle to move Amari Hutchinson on. Even before that, when we look at the transfer window, when the takeover first happened, we didn't struggle to move the likes of Ziyech, Pulisic, Koulibaly, Aubameyang, Kai Havertz and others on, who still had time on their contracts. But let's ignore that. It doesn't suit the narrative. Let's move on to the old ridiculous wages that Carragher claims that Chelsea are paying to players. Well, in the top 20 highest earners in this Premier League season in terms of weekly wages, Chelsea make up a grand total of just 1 player. in that top 20, and that is club captain Reece James. The rest are made up by players from the likes of Liverpool, Man United, Man City and Arsenal. Players like Casemiro, who's on 350 grand per week, as opposed to Caicedo, who's on 150 grand per week. I think we would all agree that Cole Palmer is easily one of, if not the best creative player over this and the last season in the Premier League. Now, last season, he was on 70 grand per week. And when we speak about these long contracts that Jamie Carragher goes on about, and the fact that we're locking them in, well, actually, Cole Palmer did get a pay rise on his contract. He's now on 130 grand per week. And although that is a huge amount of money in the landscape of football, that's hardly a huge amount of money, is it? By the way, the front four that we started against Brighton the other day and absolutely cut them to ribbons, putting the ball in the back of the net about 25 times, but had a load disallowed because of VAR, that front four had a combined weekly wage of 345 grand. That is just 45 grand more per week for those four players than Marcus Rashford earns alone at Man United. In fact, not to get petty, but let's get a little bit petty here. If Man United were to start a front four of Højlund up top, Rashford one side, Bruno in the middle, and then Anthony over on the other side, the combined weekly wage of those four players would be 885 grand. Just to remind you, so you don't have to rewind the video, Chelsea's that started against Brighton had a combined weekly wage of 345 grand. Chelsea's attack have managed 15 goals so far in the league this season. United's have managed 5 goals so far in the league this season. And just for good measure, we've also outscored every single team in the Premier League so far this season. But I know it's early stages. I'm not going to go too far over the top. Actually, we all know I'm going to go over the top, don't we?
They've signed Neto a week ago. Where's he going to play when you've already got Cole Palmer?
Bit of a weird one, Carragher, innit? Pedro Neto and Palmer, they're hardly like-for-like players. Pedro Neto has played 12 games as a centre attacking midfielder in 142 senior and youth appearances. Cole Palmer has played 52 games as a centre attacking midfielder in 129 senior and youth appearances. It's almost like he doesn't realise that players now have the versatility to play different positions or to be able to interchange within matches. I remember years ago, 20 odd years ago, I'd be sat at Stamford Bridge and Jose used to swap Duff and Robin onto the other wing basically and interchange them, and it was like mind-blowing. It was like the first time anyone had ever done it, or at least it felt like that to me. But the game has very much changed. We are not 20 years ago anymore, and I am sure, like we have seen already this season, that Pedro Neto and Cole Palmer will be able to fit into a starting 11 just fine.
So where would you play Enzo Fernandez, £100 million player who played number 10?
Enzo the number 10? Does this fella ever watch Chelsea before he did this bit on Monday Night Football? Look, I'm not going to sit here and deny that Enzo Fernandez has never played for Chelsea as a number 10. But he's hardly ever played there, and when he has done, it's usually been under a new manager, like when Pochettino first came in, or when other managers first came in, and they're trying out different things, different formations. And the common trend has always been that they've realised that Enzo Fernandez is definitely not a number 10. I'll be honest, I think Enzo Fernandez is a great player, but he's not a great number 10 in the slightest, and the numbers would show you that. Usually, what has happened in games when he's started further forward, as the game has gone on, he's actually ended up being dropped back by the manager, where they've realised that his creativity is better from a deep-lying role. So a deep-lying playmaker, maybe at a push, a centre midfielder, is what you'd call Enzo Fernandez, but he's definitely not a number 10. He's played 69 games for Chelsea so far, by the way, Enzo Fernandez, and literally about 4 or 5 of them he started as a number 10, and pretty much every single one of them, as I say, he has been dropped back. And do you know how I know that? Because I watch Chelsea week in, week out. Probably unlike Jamie Carragher. But here's the last clip I'm going to show you, and get ready for it, because this is easily the worst one.
I could be part of that.
Part of what?
part of this young, exciting team could be.
It's not a young and exciting team.
Right, that's the straw that broke the camel's back for me. Chelsea are not a young and exciting team. We're the youngest fucking team in the Premier League. Not just in starting 11s, in the entire Premier League, we have the youngest squad. This season, we are the Premier League's top goal scorers. Last season, despite us having an awful start to the season, we reached a cup final and we outscored every single team in the Premier League, barring Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool and Newcastle. There were 4 teams that outscored our team last season, and we were still, even last season, the youngest team in the Premier League. Right, okay, compose yourself. Calm down, Joey. We also had the league's second top goal scorer last season, and let's be honest, Erling Haaland is an absolute freak. We haven't seen anything like him in such a long time, so we might as well say we had the league's top goal scorer in Cole Palmer. He was the top scoring Englishman. Cole Palmer has 6 goals so far this season. Let me remind you, Man United have 5 goals. Cole Palmer, 1 individual player, 6 goals. Man United, a whole team, 5 goals this season. He also has 4 assists, by the way. He helped himself to 4 of those goals in a win against Brighton, who both Arsenal and Man United failed to beat in recent weeks. Nicholas Jackson, another young player who has been bombarded in the media by non-Chelsea fans. Everyone's making memes out of him and taking screenshots of goals he's missed and things like that. But Nicholas Jackson so far has 7 goals and assists in the league this season. Now today is the last day of September, and for the month of September, Nicholas Jackson has 5 goal contributions. Erling Haaland has 3 goal contributions. And yeah, I do know Haaland's going to end up with more than Jackson, but it doesn't make for a bad punchline now, does it? Jadon Sancho, 3 appearances now for Chelsea. Not 3 starts, 3 appearances, 3 assists. Noni Madueke's already helped himself to a hat-trick so far this season. Also got himself an England call-up. Got an assist on his England debut. Cole Palmer, speaking of hat-tricks, the other day that was the 3rd hat-trick he has scored for Chelsea Football Club, which puts him level with the leaders when it comes to the most hat-tricks scored for Chelsea Football Club, with 3 men in there that I love dearly. Super Frankie Lampard, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank and Didier Drogba. And if you're putting into the fact that they're probably not going to come out of retirement anytime soon, any of them 3 players, it's almost certain that Cole Palmer will surpass the record of hat-tricks for Chelsea Football Club of those 3 legends. Caicedo's been playing out of his skin now for the best part of a year, and no one outside of the Chelsea fan base wants to talk about it. Malo Gusto, no one had ever heard of. He comes in, he has to replace our most important player at the time in Reece James, and he fits into this Chelsea team and the Premier League in general seamlessly for a player that started off coming into the team when he was, 19 years old? And even when you speak about the word excitement, think about what excitement actually means, because excitement doesn't mean the best. It doesn't mean unbeatable. It doesn't mean invincible. What excitement means is a team that will offer you a compelling showing week in, week out, every time you watch them. And if you tell me that you are not excited by Chelsea matches, I'm going to tell you I don't believe that you've been watching Chelsea matches. For good or for bad, Chelsea games are always fun to watch. So let me put the question to you lot. You be the judges. Are Chelsea or are Chelsea not a young and exciting team? Let me know in the comments. Listen, I understand, right, that I have bided my time a little bit here. Now, I did initially speak on this when this came out on the Monday Night Football, but I do think it's just funny after the start to the season that I honestly thought that we were going to have to be able to sit and reflect on those comments just 1 month on. And listen, it might all fall apart. It might all go to shit. We might have a bad run of form and we might not hit the heights that I'm expecting us to. And if that does happen, then I'm sure that the mainstream media outlets and the Chelsea YouTubers that want to speak negatively about the club will be out in full force. But for me, I believe that we have to give credit where credit was due. I think that the negative comments that were very, very vocal and very, very loud now need to be reciprocated with the positivity that is coming around Chelsea Football Club at the moment, because I really do think there is a lot of it. But I want you lot to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Like the video. I never even asked you to do any of that. I woke up this morning and thought, fuck this, I'm ranting. And that is exactly what I have done here. So I hope I haven't upset too many people, but I needed to get it off my chest. And now I can go and relax and have a beer around the pool. I'll see you all in the next one.